bioidentical hormones. So a lot of people use this terminology, and I think it's important for us to debunk the misinformation that we have bioidentical hormones that you can get, and you mentioned it earlier, from the pharmacy. You don't need to go to a special pharmacy to get a bioidentical hormone. Bioidentical means similar to your body. And any other thoughts you have on that?
So everything that's available in the entire universe is not, you don't take it out of their body and give it back to someone. Right. It either comes from like the urine or a body part of an animal, and then it's synthesized and manufactured into something you can give back to a woman, or it's made in a lab. But the idea of bioidentical is being as close as possible to what you made naturally, so that when you integrate it or synthesize it, it has the most positive effect and the least negative benefit. And fortunately, when we're talking about the two that we have FDA-approved products, progestin and progestogens is the category, actually. And estrogens and estradiol is typically the bioidentical form. These are available in a number of formulations. We've mentioned some of them. All of them, I think, that are considered to be similar to what women make. And some of the compounding pharmacies and other places where these hormones are made and offered have variations on that. But they aren't, there's really never been any good data, at least that we're aware of, that these are better, safer, better integrated, lead to less adverse outcomes, and they're less predictably studied. So we don't know what's going to happen and how they're metabolized and how they might build up or affect end organ or cause harm.
Right.
And that's one of the issues and the problems. But if you want bioidentical, the good news is this is one of the areas, fortunately, where what's synthesized is quite close to what we are trying to return or replace.
Yes, you said that much better than me.
It's so hard because it's a concept that, I would love to like infuse something from the universe that's already like me, but anything you get is made somewhere else.
Yeah, unless you're doing like PRP or something, you're like spitting yourself, right?
And you can't bank. Somebody asked me this once: can you bank your own hormones?
Yeah, you can.
Like if they're so high when you're young.
Maybe someday, but not yet.
Not yet.
And then I got a couple questions about like rose hip oil and those sorts of primrose oil, soy, those sorts of things. Is there benefit to those? I know Black Cohosh has some good data, but I wasn't aware of the data on those other.
So Black Cohosh is the best product I would recommend because it's regulated and it's marketed and regulated by the German government, which does a very good job with herbal supplements as a herb. Mm-hmm. And it's marketed as remifenum. There are other versions of Black Cohosh, but again, no commercial interest in anything specific. But that seems to have some good data for controlling hot flashes. There are some other available supplements around that are touted to improve symptoms. I've never seen good trials on any others that have been consistently and reliably tested and shown to be helpful for menopausal symptoms. The use of soy. So there have been some food soy studies. The supplements are trickier, but the bottom line is eating the equivalent of like a quarter to a half of cake of tofu or a half a cup of shelled edamame every day gives you some modest improvement in hot flashes. So if estradiol takes you from 10 to 12 hot flashes a day down to 8 to 10. With soy, you probably get rid of a couple. You still have 6 or 8 or 10. So, and you have to eat that much. Like you literally have to eat that every day.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a fair amount, but not undoable,
And what about seeds? Like I've been hearing a lot about seed cycling.
I have not seen any good evidence or had seen my patients have any reliable or consistent responses to that. A lot of this is, it doesn't mean that anecdotally it helped someone that it doesn't help, but you're asking me like sort of scientific, medical.
Right.
It
may help you, but we don't have data.
And then the other issue is, are there any supplements for sexual function? So there is something called Restella, which is a proprietary formula that basically works with the nitric oxide pathway. It's available through also, so I mentioned one of the other products. It's available through a specific company called Bonafide. It has a mixture of proprietary products, including things that work through nitric oxide and vasodilatory pathways, picogenol, there's a bunch of, you can look at the formula in the ingredients that may help with genital arousal and have a feedback on having a better event and wanting desire. That's another example. And there are a few small trials that are more like serial trials than randomized controlled trials, but where you look at a series of people is what that, there's a fancier name for that, but that's the idea. If people ask me what are natural things you can do for menopausal symptoms, there's the behavioral stuff. There may be a couple of herbal or supplements that help with hot, or one at least. For sexual function libido, it's pretty much, there's some other supplements with L-arginine, and the one I mentioned, maybe. And then some of the pharmaceuticals, possible hormones. And also there's there's a whole collection of things we haven't talked about is the role of behavioral strategies for men. When we're talking specifically about sexual function, then some work on things like mindfulness, mindfulness-based cognitive behavioral therapy, group training on improving or enhancing sexuality in the dyad or in the dynamics. And there's some very good books. For example, I love Lori Brado's book called Better Sex Through Mindfulness.
She's going to join us on the podcast later.
So that's another example. So those are all different things you can do that if you don't want to use hormone. I mean, there's a whole spectrum, in other words, for both menopausal and sexual symptoms.
Great. Well, thank you. We end with just a few sort of fun questions. What's something that you know now in your life that you wish you knew earlier?
Oh, boy. It doesn't have to result in the field.
No, anything you want to share.
I wish that I had known about cross-country skiing.
Really?
I know we were talking about how nice it is to live in a warm climate. Because I was just talking about this before I came. I'm a runner and I like to exercise. But as you get a little bit older, as you become midlife and so forth, and things start to ache and hurt. And only in the past couple of seasons has my husband, who loves to cross-country ski, got me to agree to go. And it's so low impact. And like, I love it. And so, I wish I had learned about that earlier because I like to be active and avoid like the harm or the injury. Yeah. And we have to adapt as we get older. So it sort of fits the theme.
Right.
And I guess
never too late to try something new.
Yeah. I guess the other thing is I wish I had, it sounds really, really weird, but realized how much I would love having college-age children who are becoming young adults.
Really?
Yeah, because this is kind of, I have to stay thematic. As a midlife and beyond woman, I had a little of the sadness when my kids launched off to college. Yeah. They're both in college in different years. And, they seem to be engaging, like one is on a term abroad we're going to visit, the other one competes as a high-level athlete. And we're like following them around and doing things. And we interact with them very differently. And I thought I would really be sad losing that part of myself as a woman and as a mom. And I thought, oh my God, I spend too much time working and not enough time with my kids. And I guess the positive part is like, it's fun now. And so I didn't really miss anything. So,
that's great.
Midlife isn't sad.
That's really encouraging to hear as someone who has younger kids.
Yeah.
What is a non-negotiable you have to do every day?
Exercise.
Yeah.
I will be an hour late for a meeting, for a brunch, tell someone that I can't come because I have to find time to exercise. And it doesn't always have to be, like now I'm more careful, but some form of exercise. It's just like it's my safe space. It's my haven.
Yeah.
And there's I either have to be really sick or it has to be a holiday where it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
For me to miss a day.
And what's something you wish would change about the world?
Oh my. Well, things I can
There's
say.
So many things you can say or you want to share in a large audience.
I think that some of the idealism that was non-controversial, that everybody sort of uniformly believed in, I wish it were more like that. Because now everybody's idea about idealism is so fractured. There are things that we think back on the history of at least this country. I live in the United States, where everybody kind of thought that's really great about this. And now there's so many different views on what makes something great.
Everyone's a contrarian almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And last question is, what's a health hack you want to share or life hack?
I like sun.
Yeah, me too.
Sometimes I'll just be I have to walk outside. I go, okay, I'm going to stand here in the sun for 60 seconds, not look at my phone, not do anything else. It's going to make me feel so good. And it takes so much work. Just stop for 60 seconds. And so I don't know, maybe that's an example.
I think that's great. I did that today, in between the meeting. I went out and stood in the sun. Well, thank you so much. Let the audience know where they can find you.
So I live in New York City, or the New York City area. I live in the suburbs. I worked for a while, Cornell Medical College. And you could find me that's the easiest thing, is to find me online through Weill Cornell Medical College. I think that's easier than thinking about the various social media outlets that I interact with. But that's the best place to find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's been an honor having you.
Oh, wonderful. This conversation's been really stimulating and a lot of interesting ideas and a lot of fun. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys so much for joining us today on the Rena Malik MD podcast. If you are enjoying this podcast, please be sure to check us out on YouTube or give us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. This allows our content to reach more and more individuals, and I'll appreciate it so much. If you want to learn more from me, make sure to follow my handle on other social media platforms, including Instagram, X, TikTok, and more. And as always, remember to take care of yourself because you are worth it.